Hi, welcome to Changemakers, a smarter school podcast exploring how to live a successful and happy life. I am Katlego Motlogelwa, your host. On every episode, I talk to great thinkers and doers from different walks of life who are at the forefront of positively impacting society. Our conversations focus on their specific journeys to achieving their goals. We talk mindsets, books, advice, and tools they use to keep them motivated. All the key ingredients you need for a happy and fulfilling life. I hope you enjoy this next episode. On this episode, I spoke to Diketso Setho, a social entrepreneur who has founded several entities, including an online shopping mall, mostly used by township-based businesses, and a non-profit organization that teaches computer programming to kids in disadvantaged communities. We spoke about most of his ventures. We couldn't talk about all of them. We spoke about how he got into computer programming, his life and business after newfound fame, and what keeps him going. Yes, Diketso on projects that he is currently working on.
Okay, currently I am part of three initiatives which are Ghetto Heroes. The first time it was 2017. I actually established a non-profit organization called Ghetto Heroes Tech Innovation, which was a non-profit organization. It's still a non-profit organization that is bridging a gap between 4IR and the township young people. We actually taught young people how to code who are located mostly in disadvantaged communities. So over the years, when years went by, I also saw a gap between the industry of young upcoming artists and young people in terms of getting information and motivation. So I started an online radio station which is called Ghetto Heroes Online Radio. So the main aim of the radio is to promote brands, young upcoming brands, young upcoming artists as well, by playing their music and also giving them knowledge and motivation in terms of positive content. Our media is always positive. We are trying by all means not to always stay on track. So also years happened last year, which was 2020. During the lockdown, I have realized that most businesses which were operating physically were forced to go offline. I would say they were forced to stop operating and selling because during the era of lockdown, the regulations didn't allow them to sell. So I started an online GH Mall. So GH Mall is an online mall that is actually giving township businesses a space to start selling online. Because during those times, I would say township businesses don't even gain revenue that will help them sustain an e-commerce website, to hire web developers and maintenance as well. So the main aim of GH Mall was to eradicate that kind of a problem and just give them a space to be comfortable so that they can sell online without them having stresses in terms of generating revenue for the web maintenance and other things as well, and security as well. We are handling it on our side.
I've seen Diketso on several TV shows and heard him talk on radio about the GH online shopping mall. I wanted to know how this newfound fame has impacted him and his business, especially expanding GH Mall and other ventures that he's working on currently.
Well, currently I still operate without funding. I still operate without any investment. So the sustainability comes from sales. I do believe maybe one day I might actually get an investor or a funder, but currently I wasn't looking for one because I really wanted to know exactly what I need from them before I can actually approach them. Because also, yes, it has sparked some interest in terms of the government and other organizations that came towards me and proposed some of the ideas that could make it grow. But in terms of what they wanted in return was something that I don't think I was going to be able to deliver it to them. So I think that can create some conflict of interest going further. So I think for now, I was doing well. I'm doing well in terms of sales and operating through sales up until something comes up.
Yeah. Do you mind maybe taking us into your confidence a bit there when you're saying maybe the terms and conditions that they're proposing, were not favorable? That's at least how I'm understanding you. So what exactly were the terms? Because I mean, from a government perspective, I think there could be, grants or very fair payment terms when the business is more sustainable or larger than it is today. So what were the challenges? What were you not happy with in terms of the conditions and terms that were being proposed?
Well, I would say in terms of that, we are looking at the equity that they actually want or need from what they are giving from their deliverables, and most of them would come and actually want to take a higher part, and you stay low. And other things we are looking at also rebranding, changing your brand. So if somebody comes in and just want to rebrand your brand because they actually invested in it, it's something that can create a conflict because you feel like now the person is in charge and obviously they'll be in charge. But otherwise, yeah, these are some of the things that I feel like they can create a conflict. So the first focus we wanted to focus in Tembisa, but the media outbreak made lots and lots of people to actually kind of request us to expand into their areas. So we are actually looking into the whole of South Africa currently, and going further. Having more vendors into our platform means it's not about only having people who can sell, but it's also about having people who can buy. Those vendors need people who can buy their products. Otherwise, having them into the platform without being promoted and marketed, it's only useless if they are not generating any revenue as yet. So going further is us focusing on how can we promote it, how can we get people to actually sign up into the platform and start being loyal customers and buying on it. So actually with Ghetto Heroes, currently we are recruiting volunteers, which we are hoping to expand into different communities where they'll be able to introduce coding in their areas as well. So yeah, we are actually working with people who are tech savvy and comfortable in terms of coding. And we are also, in terms of GH Radio, we are still doing some podcast and information in terms of education because we mostly focus in business and technology.
Diketso is involved in a lot of ventures. I was interested in knowing what inspires him and keeps him motivated, and his take on mentors and business coaches.
So actually, in terms of the inspiration, I would say I just get it because I know that there's no one who is there for me. Like, there for me if ever I just decide to play around, Unlike people like me having a family, I lost my family. I mean, my 3 siblings and my mom before I was even 5 years old. So me knowing very well, Hore, my entire life I've been surviving and hustling and making sure I'm living. Unlike people who are out there, the young people who are out there, who are having families which are, even if they play around, they know they still have got somebody who's going to look for them. So as for me, it's a lot different because it's a lot challenging for somebody who's always alone and who knows very well that if they don't get what they need, they won't survive.
But I mean, you are taking what many people would consider a high road, to feeding yourself, which is the entrepreneurial route. Many people would say it's easier to just, get a job. So why become an entrepreneur?
For me, it also goes back to also remember, I don't have any formal education. So if I don't work, I still won't survive because companies wouldn't employ me. But yes, currently they would employ me in terms of the experience that I have and the personal brand that I have. But during those times, I wasn't going to be employed because I didn't have any formal education. So for me, finding a job wasn't part of the options because obviously it was crossed as I didn't have any formal education. Nobody would consider me instead of somebody who's more qualified. So yeah, I would say if I didn't work, like nothing would work.
Yeah. Okay. No, I hear you. I hear you. For many entrepreneurs and people who are pushing as hard as you are, I hear that there's some productivity hacks, or sort of rituals that people do to keep them, going. Is there anything in particular that you do?
Well, yeah, each and every single day, just wake up and make sure that I make my bed. Because by making your bed, you have successfully completed the first task of the day. I mean, you are able to do anything. Like, you can't just study in an environment where it's messed up. Like, yeah, me just making my bed, because I know very well that even if I'm just near it right now, I won't go back there into my bed unless I'm going to sleep. So that is some of the motivation that I gain from myself. Self-motivation. Like, entrepreneurs don't need self-motivation. They're just motivated. So if you know why you have started, you'll continue doing it, because sometimes you might give up only to find that you were only 1% closer to it. You have worked about 99%, but it's a pity that we don't know how much we have worked, and you don't know when exactly is it your day that you're going to see it. But you give up on the last day that you didn't even know, and it's very sad for most of them.
Yeah. So when you say entrepreneurs are motivated, they don't need motivation. Can you just explain that a bit more? Expand on that. Do a deep dive, Nyana. What does that mean? Are you saying that every day you are working, you're not tired, or you don't ever feel like, okay, this is not working, let me let it go? Like, what does that mean exactly?
You can't actually let it go. If you live in the rules and regulation, like the army, look at the army. Ask yourself why a soldier would go in there and fight for his country. Ask yourself why a soldier wouldn't come back and say while their mission is not even completed, because they are motivated. They need to know that I won't come back from the battle without me completing my mission. So it's like an entrepreneur. Once you know why you have started, it's something that should keeps you going. And it's something. If you just give up, it means even the other project you're still going to give up. If we look at things like Google, it was a side project. GitHub, it was a side project. Like most of the platforms that we are using today, Facebook, it's also it was designed for, Mark Zuckerberg designed it for his campus, but it became a worldwide thing that today he's running some of the world, I would say. So it's like, ask yourself where the motivation comes up. We can't just get bored and just do it. You can't just need motivation. There's no way you're going to get motivation. The biggest lie that people would tell you is that I know what you are going through. Like, that's a lie. Nobody knows what you are going through. Everybody's going through their own thing. Nobody has ever went through what you are going. So if you need motivation for that, then you have lost in this battle. You have to tell yourself. Nobody's going to tell you, I guess.
Yeah. So, but now I want to understand your motivation. Where does it come from? So basically you're saying no one else can push you. You're pushing yourself. But I want to know, where does that intrinsic push come from? What's your why? What makes you want to keep pushing?
It's me and figuring out and wanting to be the change that I want to see. I always figure out, if you look at it, it's in a social entrepreneur's aspect. We always see the challenges that are being faced around our communities and try to resolve them. So the motivation comes from each and every challenge that I come across, and I won't actually say I'm waiting for the government or I'm waiting for somebody to do it. I do it myself. So that is my motivation, that I need to do this. This is what I need to do. When I see a problem, I try by all means to resolve it. When I see people that are crying and saying we can't do this, I'll try by all means to actually come up with a solution towards that. Well, yes, I do have a lot of them. So I can't actually mention them because, in terms of their their names and branding, it's something that there are people who are also having PAs and public relations and stuff. But I do, and I would recommend young people who are actually looking to embarking the entrepreneur's journey to actually have their mentors who are always there, because having a mentor, they would actually assist you. They would tell you how they faced problems and how they solve them. Maybe you might also gain some insights on how to solve such problems. And
okay, so are you saying you have mentors now that you are working with, and these people are in the public space but you can't mention?
Yes, I do have mentors, and they're in a public space running big companies, but I really can't mention them.
Okay. That's interesting, because are they also part of the people who've maybe made some of this, rather approached you to say, okay, let's grow GH Mall, and maybe came up with what you did not see as fair terms and conditions? Are they part of that group, or they just mentoring without having any interest in growing your business, particularly from a financing perspective?
So actually, these are the people that I go to as a private call, and whenever I face such challenges, I just go to them and ask them, what do you think of this? And they would tell me, or they would advise me, actually, not to tell me, and say, Diketso, this is a disadvantage you might face. It might be an advantage here, but it might be a disadvantage here. So it's up to you if you consider it or not. But they just show me the brighter side and the darkest side, to say, if you take this, just also be ready to face such things like this and that. Creating relationships, especially with the top people, it's always, I would recommend LinkedIn. Just type a message there, a very professional one, and just let them know what really you want. I mean, those are busy people. They just won't go into your message if you just said, hi, how are you? How I know. You just need to have a professional approach in terms of your texting, and just let them, dear sir, my name is who and who. I'm part of this and that. The reason why I'm contacting you is because I'd like to be my mentor, or I'd like you to advise me in terms of that, maybe for once in a while, or maybe, and you exchange contacts if ever they approve it. And then that's that. It's always you about shooting your shot and making sure the people understand, especially if you get that one chance. If you just say hi, they will just go through your hi, and you might find that there are about 200 people who just who's waiting there. Yeah. So you just need to shoot your shot out there, so they know whenever they log into your inbox, and they know, okay, they can read it and it's done.
Any last words, for people who also want to, you spoke about, creating a change that you want to see. Any last words for anyone? I know you say you're not big on motivation. People need to be self-motivated. But any last words, from you?
Yeah, so my last word is I always tell people to say, we are doing it broke, and we are doing it now. We are not waiting for any funding. We are not waiting for any investors. You are doing it now. And when those things come, they should find you on your way. So that's what I always tell people.
I would like to thank you for listening until this far, and Diketso for his time and inspirational story. I have learned that intrinsic motivation and understanding why you want to do something are paramount to getting over any inertia and look beyond limitations that one may have. I love the fact that Diketso is not waiting, but using the resources that he has to solve the problems that he is passionate about. In your journey to becoming the best you, remember that the process matters more than the destination. This has been a Smarty School production. Catch you on the next episode. Stay smart and keep well. If you enjoyed this episode of Changemakers, please subscribe if you have not already. Help us spread the word by rating and commenting on the podcast. We like hearing from you, as this will help us create better content and reach more people. Share this episode with your friends, family, and colleagues whom you think will benefit or like this sort of content. If you have questions for me or my guest, or topics that you would like us to discuss next time, email me at podcasts@smarterschool.co.za.